Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ingrid and this is Ingrid Reads a Lot. In this video, as you've probably seen in the title, I am going to do my mid-year check-in tag, freakout tag, whatever you want to call it tag. I love these videos and I love filming this video, so I hope you guys do too. I definitely haven't read as many books this year as I've wanted to. I got into a huge reading slump in the month of May and June. I'm definitely out of it now, thank the Lord baby Jesus, but I am excited to talk about the books that I've loved so far this year. I have read some amazing books and I keep telling my friends that this is my year of horror because all of my favorite books have been horror. I've read some amazing fantasy also, don't get me wrong, but I think my top favorite books of this year for sure have been horror books. I tried not to double up on answers for these questions, but it was impossible because I don't want to lie to you guys either. So there is one question that I answered twice for the same book, or the same book I answered twice. All right. First question is, and I'm looking down because my computer is here, so excuse me looking down. First question is the best book you've read so far in 2025, and that is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I actually got this in my aardvark box and I absolutely love this book. This is a horror historical novel. It's set in 1912 and it follows a Blackfoot Indian and his name is Goodstab and he is a vampire, and you're going back between being in the mind of a Lutheran priest and Goodstab, and I think there's also parts of this that's in the future in 2012. This is amazing. This is the book that made me fall in love with Stephen Graham Jones. When finishing this book, I thought to myself, wow, this is the person that was actually meant to be an author. Like, I know that, we're gonna go off on a tangent here, but I feel like certain people have like a divine calling to do certain things, and I think Stephen Graham Jones was meant to be an author and a writer and a storyteller, because the way he wrote this book is just out of this world. Like, the way he uses words to describe different things. The audio book of this is also amazing. So if you haven't read this horror novel, I advise you to read it, because I also have been on kind of a vampire kick lately, like this year, and this is one of the top vampire books I've read this year because it's just so well done. It's unique and it also pays homage to the vampire myth, but it's done in a different way, and I really love this book. Anyway, I'm gonna stop gushing, but best book I've read so far this year. All right, second question is the best sequel you've read this year in 2025. And I was looking through all the books I read, and I have actually read a good number of sequels. I didn't mean to, it just happened that way. I think I've read like 6. Most of them were not good. And my answer for this question is going to be Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. I absolutely loved The House in the Cerulean Sea, but I thought that book could have been and should have been a standalone. But I went into this with an open mind and heart, and I think that this was extremely well done, especially in the current climate that we are in with immigration. This book highlights a lot of the issues, and it's just so well done. And it also brings back the fact that what I loved about the first book was the children in the book, and this book still has that. It's not just a lot of like political themes. It does everything. We still get a lot of the kids and their love and the love that Arthur and Linus have for the kids, and it's done really well and made me cry, and I absolutely love this. Next question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to, and I have 2. First up is Sunrise on the Reaping by Susan Collins. I have been wanting to read this for the longest time. Like, I got it when it came out and I just haven't. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm like worried that I'm not gonna love this as much as I love the original Hunger Games trilogy. This is part of the Hunger Games world. I'm sure you know that, but this is the story of Haymitch, which is one of my favorite characters in the Hunger Games. And I do think that this is amazing because I have always wanted to get more from Haymitch's story and why he's the way he is, and I'm sure that this book will highlight that. I just haven't read it. Like, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh my god, I want to read it so bad. I should just pick it up. I know this is gonna make me cry. That's another reason I haven't read it, because I like don't feel like crying recently, but I really want to read this. And then another one that I want to read, going along with my horror kick of this year, is The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. This is another aardvark book that I've gotten, and oops, something fell out, but I want to show you the special edition. How beautiful is this? Anyway, this is a horror novel set in medieval times, and it sounds like, I'll put this down because it's making a lot of noise. It sounds like it's these people are stuck in a castle under siege, and they're starting to run out of food, and basically their gods or whatever, or saint, arrive, and weird starts to happen, as it does in horror books. I'm super excited to read it because I've been really enjoying historical horror this year. Like, that's the top, yeah, I feel like that's most of the horror books that I've read. They are in a historical setting, and I love it, and it's what I'm gravitating towards reading. And yeah, I really have to get to this book because I really want to. I'm loving aardvark. I don't know if I like, this is just, obviously I got aardvark on my own, but I feel like their selection of books every month is amazing. Yeah, I'm loving the book box for once, because I feel like, look at me going off on other tangents, I feel like a lot of book boxes I end up like not enjoying and canceling, because I like enjoy the selections for a little bit and then they just go off, and then there's like not one book that I'm interested in, or it'll be a book that I'm like, oh, maybe I'm interested in that, but then I end up not picking it up because it's not something that I actively want to read. And I feel like that has not happened with this book box yet, but they do have a lot of amazing horror selections. So I don't know if it's because I'm in such a horror kick that I'm loving the box. I don't know, whatever. All right, next up is most anticipated books for the next half of the year. As I was answering this question, I realized that there are a ton of books that I'm dying to read that are coming out in the second half of the year. So I'm only going to give you 2, but I am going to film a separate most anticipated books for the next 3 months. There is so many good books coming out that I can't name them all here, but I'll give you 2. First, it's called We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter, and I don't really know anything about this book. I think this is a thriller or mystery or something, but I am look at me, I'm trying to like get comfortable, but I'm falling apart. I'm a huge fan of Karen Slaughter, and I think that I haven't seen one of her books, her newer books coming out, that's not part of a series, because she has like a huge series that's called the Will Trent series, and I just never got into it. I love her standalone books, but this is a new series, so I'm like, oh, let me catch this when it first starts, because I really like her writing, and I feel like she is a very dark like thriller author, so if you have triggers, her books are not for you. But I absolutely love The Good Daughter and Pretty, what is it called? Pretty Girls. Oh my god, so good, so dark, but she's so good. And I'm excited for that to come out. And I think this is coming out in August. I'll put the date up for you guys, but I don't know exactly the date. And then next up is something that I'm excited about because I loved the first one. So this is Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I read Bride last year. I was surprised by that book because I actually enjoyed it. And mostly it's because all of the contemporary novels that I've read by Ali Hazelwood, she writes romances. If you didn't know, I'm sure you did. But I don't love them. And I find them not well done. Like very formulaic. Like most of her characters are in STEM, which is cool for like 1 or 2 books. But I feel like most of her books follow the same formula, and nothing wrong with that. There's other authors that I can think of that do this. Oh, what's her name? She writes mystery novels or thriller novels. It's Frida McFadden. I feel like she does the same thing where a lot of her books follow the same formula, and they're popular. Obviously, these authors are huge authors, but I feel like they're missing something, and I feel like sometimes they're kind of cringy, but not in a good way. All of that to say is that when I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, this is her first like paranormal romance type thing. It's between a wolf and a vampire. I thought it was cute and cool and well done, and I'm excited to see what the second novel brings, and to see if the first book was kind of a one-off for me enjoying it, or if I enjoy only her paranormal stuff as opposed to contemporary stuff. Anyway, that's why I'm excited for this one. And again, I don't know when this is coming out. I think it's September. I will put the date for you guys. All right, next up is biggest disappointment of the year so far, and I'm gonna give that to Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This wasn't horrible. I think I gave this a 2.5 stars. This is another vampire historical horror, and the tagline for this is that it's a retelling or recreation of Carmilla, which is a classic vampire book. It's supposed to be the sapphic book, and it was written a long time ago, and that it was like revolutionary for the vampire genre. I found this very lacking. The main character in this is Lenore, and she lives in a marriage back in the day, obviously, where women had no agency. She stumbles upon Carmilla, who is supposed to be the vampire character. But a lot of the reason why I didn't love this was because Carmilla is not very much on the page. And I wanted more. I wanted more gore and more vampire and more love between these women, and it just wasn't there. I found this kind of lacking. Not my favorite. Like I told you guys, am on a vampire kick. And there's another book that I read this year that is everything that this book is not. And I'm going to talk about it in my July wrap up. And I think I was hoping for more in this book, and it just didn't deliver. So this is my biggest disappointment of the year so far. Okay, and then biggest surprise of the year so far. I haven't talked about this book yet because I read it this month, and it is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V. Schwab. This is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition that I just got. This book was everything that I wanted Addie LaRue to be, and it wasn't. If you haven't been around for long enough, I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue last year, and I was so disappointed by it because I felt very lukewarm about it. This is a vampire novel, and it's about these three women that are connected through the ages and connected through the fact that they all become vampires. And their stories converge. That is not a spoiler. It's in the little synopsis that is given for this. I'm not going to talk too much about this. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but this was amazing. I loved being in the minds of these women, and they're not very likable characters, but that's the point. They're vampires, right? And they're self-serving, and they want to survive, and they are willing to do anything that it takes to survive. And I just love this. I don't know what else to say. Amazing. I haven't talked in depth about it. I will talk about it at the end of this month because I read it during this month. All right, favorite new author of the year, and I'm gonna give that to Stephen Graham Jones. Who is surprised? I've been screaming from the rooftops about Buffalo Hunter Hunter, but I'm gonna put a caveat in here because I haven't read anything else by him this year. I got the first book in the Indian Lake trilogy, and it's called My Heart is a Chainsaw. It's in my car. I was bringing it to work to read it, and then I didn't read it. Anyway, look at me like exposing all of my feelings, but I haven't read anything else by Stephen Graham Jones, but I do think that Buffalo Hunter Hunter is a masterpiece, and I just loved it. So honestly, I think he's going to be one of my favorite new authors, but I can't say that. That's why I said I got to give it a caveat. I can't say that for sure without reading more of his books, but I'm going to. Okay, next question is newest favorite character. I had to really think about this, but I'm going to give it to the Nightmare from One Dark Window. I read the duology, and I enjoyed the duology as a whole, but I will say the Nightmare is my newest favorite character, and I wish we got more time with him. I know we got a little bit more time in the second book, but still, I wish we had a novel with him as the central character because that would be cool. And the next question is a book that made you cry, and I don't own this book. I want to, but I'm like looking for a specific version of this book in a edition, and I can't find it anywhere, and it's The Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wong. I don't think I've cried so hard ever reading a book, and this is a fantasy. I've talked at length about this book, but absolutely amazing, but it's gonna make you cry. So if you don't want to cry, then maybe don't read this book. So good. One of my top new fantasies for sure, and I think it's so amazing that it's a standalone. And then number 11 is a book that made you happy. I had to like really think about this question because reading as a whole makes me happy. It's what I do to decompress, but obviously horror does not make me happy. I just like reading it. So as a whole, reading makes me happy. But a book that made me happy, I didn't want to like double on answers, but I'm going to have to say Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, because I've been reading a lot of horror lately, and a lot of the books that I read, some of the books make me angry. Some of the books make me upset. Some of the books make me cry. So I think the only book recently that I've read that has actually made me happy was Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. And that is because the children in the book are amazing. Their love is amazing and just so good that it makes me happy. What are you gonna do? Number 12 is your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've seen so far this year. And I'm gonna have to say Murderbot. I think that they killed it. Like with the adaptation, it brings Murderbot to life. The adaptation was really well done. And I really like Alexander Skarsgård. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but I think the adaptation was really good. Okay, and then number 13 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I think The Starving Saints is really cool, but like Only Naked, I think I'm gonna have to go with this one. I already showed it to you guys, but like so amazing. Look at the inside of this. I'll show you. And then this is all metallic. I don't know if it picks up on the camera, but yeah. I've been wanting to get Fairy Loot for a while. I got on their like wait list, I think the beginning of this year, and I finally got on it. So prepare to see more beautiful editions of books coming your way. Okay, and then question number 14 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I don't like putting pressure on myself because, as you know, anytime I do a TBR or anytime I put pressure on myself to read, like I need to read this book, I end up not reading it. It's like I'm rebelling against myself. I feel like it's a problem, but whatever. I want to read Sunrise on the Reaping. I've already talked about that. Another 2 books that I've been wanting to read, I've had them for a long time, and it's by Isabel Cañas, is The Hacienda and Vampires of El Norte. I want to read her new book coming out. It's called The Possession of something Diaz, but I'm not allowing myself to get that book if I don't read the other 2 books I have by her already. Because it's like, you know, keep buying books and you're not reading them. So yeah, in order to read that book, I have to read those 2. So those are the books I have to get to by this year for sure. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and tell me in the comments what books are your favorite for this year so far, and I'm excited to keep filming. I definitely have had, like I said in the beginning of this video, I kind of had a little bit of a slump going on. It's gone now. I've read some amazing books this month already, so I hope that I keep on this trek because being in a slump is no fun. I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.